Okay, ladies and gents, everyone that's listening, I am so excited to introduce you to today's guest, Melinda Van Fleet. I've got a treat for you today. Now, let me introduce you to Melinda. She is a high-powered seasoned consultant, a coach, an amazing speaker who helps individuals, sales executives, those top corporate level guys and stuff, and just provides tips and advice and training on productivity and overall fulfillment for people to, maximize their true potential. And she's not new in the game. Although she only looks 21, she has actually had 25 years plus of experience building businesses. And she's just got a really great passion, not just for life, but for helping people to improve and reach their highest potential. And she teaches executives real life tools, not just something that's going to come and go in 5 minutes, but things that are going to empower and equip you on your business life and to help you improve relationships, increase productivity, and just improve your sense of purpose, like to know and understand and live out your why. And prior to business, Melinda rose to the top of her industry as a successful senior buyer in the corporate world, as well as a top performing sales rep. And Melinda is not just Melinda, she's a speaker who regularly speaks to corporate professionals. She is a designer and developer of workshops which focus on mindset, communication, intention, and relationships. She's an amazing podcast, not just one podcast, but two. And she's the host of the podcast Crush It in Sales and the Good Karma Success Coach. And I checked out her Instagram. You're going to love it. She's got this amazing post that says, helping you believe in yourself and take action, which is what all of us want to do every single day. So I want to welcome Melinda, the podcaster, speaker, amazing wife, brilliant businesswoman, and avid fishing skills. Welcome, Melinda, to today's podcast.
Oh, Leighanne, you're the best. Thank you for that beautiful intro. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much. And I don't know about looking 21, but I'll take it. And I don't know about avid fishing skills. You might want to ask my husband about that one. But thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here. Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Oh, you're welcome. It's such a treat and an honor to have you here. I'm really excited to hear what you're going to share for all of us and our listeners. So, obviously, this month we're talking about conversation with strangers, and it's like a topic I thought about kind of teaching like some of my clients and listeners, because in this time of like COVID all over the world, even though we need to be kind of socially distancing, I like to call it physical distancing. I found that people are more willing to social and kind of say good morning to me or say hi or ask me how I'm doing. And that's just being out and about in London. Can you imagine a city that's really quiet and keep to yourself, very busy, but keep to yourself. Don't talk to me, don't talk to me. But I've just found that there's so much more opportunity now for me to have conversation with strangers. And I just wanted to ask you, like, how do you feel about starting conversations with strangers?
Yeah, I love this topic. When you had, we've been going back and forth and you had shared this topic with me, I was like, gosh, that is just such a topic that no one really stops to think about.
Mm-hmm.
No one really stops to think about their behavior. We all just kind of keep going. And you're right, with what's going on now, the world is changing. People
Mm-hmm.
are becoming a little bit more friendly where they normally aren't used to speaking to anyone. They're just used to going about their business.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it. I would say that when I started to reflect, I'm not the best at always talking to strangers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to own that. I would say I'd probably give myself maybe only like a 50 or 60%. And, sometimes I just wonder, is it because I'm in my own world,
Mm-hmm.
or I lack the confidence at that time to say something? And I think that sometimes I have regret about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like if someone had said something to me and I'm like, oh, shoot, I should have responded or smiled back,
Mm-hmm.
or, tried to have a conversation and I didn't. I sometimes walk away regretting that I didn't say something. So it's
Mm-hmm.
not all the time, but I think just having that mindset to start to recognize your behavior
Mm-hmm.
is
Yeah.
really important, and something that, like I said, we normally just are an autopilot. We don't think
Yeah.
about. So that's another reason why I love your topic, because it's just bringing awareness to the fact that we often don't have any cognition that we're doing that. We're just operating on this conscious level of just keeping on going. So
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing. I love the part that you said about like our mindset and like operating on autopilot, because I can do that so easy. I can totally relate. And just to really recognize, like, are we on autopilot? Are we fully engaged and our mind is in what it is that we're doing and stuff? Definitely. Definitely. I can really relate to that. And
yeah.
yeah, I wanted to ask as well, just in line with like the work that you do and the skills that you have and the expertise, just sort of what tips or techniques would you suggest for building a connection with people in two areas for the kind of new virtual online business networking and training scene? And then also, like, how would you give advice on how to start conversation with someone if they're in a face-to-face, a business networking event? What would you kind
Yeah.
of suggest?
Yeah, there is so much going on out there. It's really amazing. I'll probably
Mhm.
talk about the online first,
Yeah.
because even today I pulled up my LinkedIn
Mhm.
and I had accepted some connections, and I was a little trepidatious about accepting them because I could kind of see that maybe they were another coach or in
Mhm.
some type of lead generation business. And, you end up accepting the invitations, and what ends up happening? The next thing they do is they're trying to sell you right away.
Oh, yeah.
So all this kind of goes into this interesting bucket
Mhm.
of building relationships, right?
Yeah.
Where you're like, okay, you're trying to start a dialogue in a conversation, and then right away they try to sell you.
Mhm.
So I think with the online world, what I've really noticed is some people end up kind of becoming almost like a social media friend. And that's a positive thing. You want to build those relationships where you're commenting back and forth, or
Mhm.
maybe something like this where you can be on each other's podcasts, or
Mhm.
you're sharing their content and you're reading and you are engaged,
Mhm.
versus just being that social media person that's just trying to sell something. So I think there's that whole scenario that people really need to be aware of.
Yeah.
And and even from the person that's doing it, like, just be aware that people are kind of getting a feeling that that's just a little icky. and,
Mhm.
maybe, and
Yeah.
maybe take the time first to really build that relationship online. So I think Facebook groups is a great way to start, where you can try to develop some relationships through a Facebook group, and
Mhm.
just know that it can gradually build over time. And that's just a really great benefit of being on social media. And know that also, some of those relationships might not pan out,
Mhm.
and the other person just might not be as engaged as you might want them to be, or think that they should be, or however you want to bucket that. And
Mhm.
then sometimes, relationships come and go.
Yep.
So have the courage to start the conversation on social media, whether it's Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram or any of the other platforms.
Mhm.
But know that, there's twists and turns involved in that. It's not
Yep.
exactly, black and white. So with that, that's how I would approach the online world. But I think it's
Mhm.
getting more and more important. And obviously in these past 8 weeks, it has been important, and it has been a
Yeah.
valuable tool. And that's how you and I met,
Yeah.
is through a Facebook group. I
Yeah.
think that's amazing. And I hope that, our relationship continues.
Definitely.
And yeah, so that's like the fun part. So,
Mhm.
and also that's another thing too, like, approach it as fun.
Mhm.
Approach, connecting and building relationships as fun. I love to learn about other people. And that's why I was going to segue in as far as tips,
Mhm.
is being curious is just one of the best skills that I think you can have.
Mhm.
And my sister would say that I'm nosy. So if you ever asked her, she'd go, "Oh, that's my nosy sister." And I would always just, bite back and
Mhm.
be like, "No, I'm just really curious." And that's a good skill to have.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
so if you can somehow develop your curiosity
Mhm.
and your passion just for talking to people and getting to know them and being genuine and authentic in that, then your conversations in person as well as online, I think it goes to both,
Mm-hmm.
will just, continue to build and flourish. And before you know it, you'll have like this big bank of connections that you probably can't even keep up with anymore.
Yeah.
So that's another good thing.
Yeah, excellent. I really love those points about kind of being there to have fun with it and to connect. And maybe you might just have a social media best friend on there who's always kind of resharing and commenting and liking. I love those support. And versus I really don't like when I feel that pressure when someone just coming across as like, Sel, this is my course, this is my webinar, this is my ebook. And I'm like, would you like to just say hi and how am I, first of all? Totally relate. And definitely I think, like what you said, is there's twists and turns, and some online relationships will just be online or will develop face to face, and some are short term, long term, all different times and twists and turns. And I love the part you said is be curious, and that's the best skill to any friendship or working relationship, etc., and being passionate about learning and knowing. And your sister must know my sister, because I have that same mindset of trying to be curious and find out things. So do you remember the show, it's ages ago, Murder, She Wrote, Jessica Fletcher?
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
her. So my sister calls me Jessie Fletch. That's what she calls me. She's like, she calls that's my nickname that she calls me when I found out something, or I found something, or I saw something, or whatever. She calls me the same thing. She calls me that as well. So I can really, really relate to. I just like to find out, to learn, about people and stuff. And
Yes.
if you don't ask, you don't get, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
true. And yeah, the learning is huge. If you're not learning, you're not growing and you're not moving on to the next level. And that's how we do that. We learn from other people. You learn by connecting and building those relationships. And, at the start of that all is talking to a stranger. If you just break it down in simplest form, that's how
Yeah.
you have to start. So is talking to a stranger.
Definitely, definitely. And then I wanted to ask as well, because often like you can be when you're speaking to strangers, and they may speak in a different tone or accent or speed that you may be used to. Do you find kind of like listening and paraphrasing when you're speaking to strangers, does that help you, or are there other suggestions that kind of work for you so you can kind of connect and engage quicker with strangers?
Yeah, I tend to do a little better with accents than my husband. So I think
Mhm.
it varies by person, and just to recognize where you are in that. So like my husband recognizes, he's like, hey, I'm kind of struggling a little bit. Can you jump on this call as well and help me out? Just being able to recognize that is good. So then you can figure out some ways to help you. I love the suggestion of paraphrasing. You're obviously excellent at that, being
Mhm.
that you just paraphrase what we just talked about. You definitely have that as a strong skill set, and I think that is an amazing skill set to have, not only to enhance your conversation but also your memory. I mean,
Mhm.
that's memory 101 is repeating back, whether it's someone's name
Mhm.
or what they talked about. And then, heck, that's going to help you so much for when you circle back with that person, whether that's in 1 month or 6 months, to keep building your relationship, that you remembered things you spoke about. I think that's just a great skill set to have. And if someone doesn't have that and isn't used to doing that, it might be something to think about practicing,
Mm.
so you can kind of get better. And I remember I was in workshops when I was in the corporate world,
Mhm.
that was just part of a workshop regimen, and is just really a simple tool but an important tool at the same time, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. It's not something that I think is challenging or difficult as long as you're paying attention. So
Yep.
yeah.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah. I really love the points that you shared about, particularly when you're working with lots of different accents that you may not hear on a regular basis. And like, I like that your husband's so humble, like, can you give me some help? I need you to jump on this call. Like, rather than like, what did you say? What? It's just like, I'm going to get someone whose ears are more in tune for this sound or this pronunciation, definitely. And paraphrasing, it's really like, I always find it like a term of endearment, because it means that, okay, you're actually listening to me, and people just
Yes.
love to be listened to. And the proof that you're actually listening and engaged and not distracted by phone or laptops, or I've got to do this, that, and the other, is when you're repeating or re-paraphrasing what the person said. And I just find that so engaged when someone's like, oh, you said you've got this many, this, etc. I'm like, wow, you listened to me. I just find it so, that forges a connection for me much quicker than, do you know what I mean? Just like,
Yes.
oh, hey, great, you did such and such. And I
Yeah.
love that you said that practice, because it may not be a natural skill for any of us, but practicing will definitely help us improve in that area. And it's key, like you said, to build the relationship. So if I have to come back in a month or two, it helps us to remember, because there's so many different ways to memorize things, but that's a big one,
Yeah.
definitely. And then
Absolutely.
I was going to ask as well, just it kind of came to mind about, like, when you're speaking to kind of like in the business way, how do you establish like boundaries so you're friendly but professional at the same time? How do you get that kind of boundary or balance right?
Yeah, that's a great question. I noticed when I was in the corporate world that I was really good at mirroring people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's just another tip, another really great skill set, along with curiosity and paraphrasing,
Mm-hmm.
to, as you're starting the conversation, really try to pick up on the other person's behavior. How are they acting? Are they seemingly more friendly on a social level, or are they more, just business, right?
Mm,
So, and often you can kind of gauge that pretty
yeah.
quickly. And as you're moving through, whether it's, a negotiation, if you're a salesperson or something like that, or you're trying to teach a workshop and you have different people in the room, you can really start to kind of gauge their behavior, and then just use your own common sense. And sometimes it's
Yeah.
not perfect, so don't beat yourself up, but
Yeah.
to kind of be like, oh, this person seems more friendly and maybe wants to spend another 5 minutes talking about their kids, right?
Mm,
Just as an example. And go with it. Just be able to roll with that, be able to flow with it,
yeah.
and engage that way before you kind of just really zone in on, what you're trying to achieve. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that really just mirroring and paying attention to the other person, what they're saying, what their um, non-physical, like their body language, that's the word I'm looking for, what their
Yeah.
body language is telling you. Are they smiling? Are they looking annoyed? So much can happen by your
Yeah.
facial expressions, right?
Yeah.
That you can then kind of gauge that and start to manage the conversation and control the conversation a little bit based on how you're seeing the other person.
Yeah, definitely. That's so key. And it's a lot of things that we might overlook in a conversation, like the body language. Like, is the person like engaged? Are they looking towards you, or have their feet turned away and they're just waiting for you to end that sentence? And smiles are key. That means that someone's enjoying what you're saying, and the facial expressions. And it's definitely, yeah, I mean, we've all got common sense, but as they say, common sense ain't common, but it's definitely like a training area where we can learn and pick up on these things. I really love that. And the mirroring, that when I see someone mirror me, I'm like, okay, we're in tune here. You're my sister
Yes.
from another mother, my brother from another mother. We're in tune here. I think there's a synergy here. I love that. That means that someone's really engaged, and just to have someone's ear and have their attention, even if it's just like for 5 minutes to talk about the kids and stuff. That is the biggest thing you can give someone, your time. That's really, really precious. I love that, definitely. And I was thinking, right, because there's been times when I've been in like loads of conversations, like probably yourself as well, training events, business events, and when you're in the corporate world. But obviously, I always like to talk about talking and speaking. But have you ever been in a situation, right, when you're at a conversation, could be in a speed networking or another event, could be at a wedding, when there's those kind of like awkward pauses or silences, and how do you usually manage those?
You know, I I how do I put this? I don't have them all that often. I don't know. I think maybe, and I hope someone doesn't think, oh my gosh, this, lady just doesn't shut up, because you don't
Mhm.
want to be that person either.
Yeah.
But I think just having that sense of curiosity
Mhm.
that you can pull from something. So if something
Mm.
is an awkward silence where you were listening and you were paying attention, those things just kind of flow and come together. So it's not the biggest problem.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, also realize, to be just really transparent, you're not going to mesh with every person.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, that's okay. Like, we're all not supposed to be BFFs.
Mhm.
And, you know, make sure you realize that, yeah, maybe this person, I've done all my bag of tricks, right? I've listened, I've paraphrased, I've used curiosity, I've
Mhm.
thought about some different things that maybe this person would be interested in, and it's just not going anywhere. So let's just say
Mhm.
that's the worst case scenario, right? And I'm sure that has happened to me. We're all human.
Mhm.
You just realize that, you know what, I'm not meshing with this person, and it's okay, and wrap it up.
Yeah.
Just wrap it up. It's all right. I gotta go. I got a plane to catch, you know,
Yeah.
whatever. It's okay. Just wrap it up. Don't think anything more than that,
Mhm.
and just move on. And who knows? You don't know sometimes. Maybe that person had something bad happen to them.
Yeah.
Maybe they're really struggling at home and they
Mhm.
don't want to share that. You know, a lot of people aren't going to just share everything with you, and
Mhm.
maybe something's just going on with them. So just kind of see yourself as the other person. Maybe they're extremely shy and you have no idea.
Mhm.
You know, just wish them well and just wrap it up and, you know, move on. So
Yeah. Definitely. I can relate.
yeah, I mean, we all like, I couldn't think of like a certain instance, but I'm
Mhm.
sure it has happened to me. My gosh, you know, I'm 49 years old. I've chatted with lots of people in my life.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that there's definitely been many occasions, but I guess that just kind of goes to show you, I don't sit and dwell on it. I just, you know, keep going. And, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes too, you don't know what your life journey will happen. Like, let's say
Mm.
that person you had an awkward conversation with, and or awkward silence, let's put it that way,
Mhm.
and you ended up wrapping it up and moving on. You know, maybe 3 months later that person reaches out to you. It's like, hey, you know, are you able to get a cup of coffee? I'd like to talk to you about this business idea, or I need help with
Yeah.
something. And who knows whatever happened, and maybe you'll never find out. But like I said, just roll with it, wrap it up if you need to, send them
Mhm.
love, and, you know, just keep going about your day, because life's a journey, and who knows what every twist and turn is going to happen. You really don't, and you just got to keep on going.
Definitely, definitely. I 100% love that mindset towards it with the awkwardness and silence. It doesn't have to be awkward at all. It can be like you said, you've done all the tricks, you've listened, did the body language, you've ummed and asked about everything, and it's just not happening. It's just that, like, sometimes we're going to gel with people and sometimes we're not. And we just need to be, and it's okay. It doesn't mean it's a bad person or it's a bad situation. It's an okay situation. Definitely. I love that. And I love it that not everyone's going to be your bestie, you know.
Yeah,
Some people are there for that particular moment or for a month, for a season, or etc., or a project, and then that's okay. And just I love it. And you just said, like, you know, wish them well, send them love, and just keep it moving, because
yeah,
it's probably the best way to handle those situations. And just I love it. And you said appreciate that there's lots of different things, individual differences, a lot going on in the background behind everyone else's life, and who knows, that point in maybe May might not have been good to connect, but they may come back in November and they're on a whole different vibe. So it's definitely fluid and it's a journey. And, you know, I love it that we all kind of interact and stuff on
yeah.
this journey. Definitely. I love it. And I was going to ask, just kind of coming in for a close, like we've gone through so many different things I've loved, like really hearing and listening to you. I was just wondering about, like, have you got any kind of final thoughts and tips to share about kind of speaking or life in general, something you kind of feel that you really want to kind of share and express with us all today?
Yeah, I would say that my best advice for somebody that perhaps is struggling with having a conversation with a stranger, whether it's online or in person, is number one, realize you're not alone. There's
Hmm.
lots of people that struggle with this. It is not natural for every single person to be able to have a fluid, easy conversation with someone they don't know or they just met. So give yourself some grace for sure. And if it's something that you wish to get better at, there's lots of tools online. There's, I've seen at gift shops little table topic cards. I think there's one for podcasting. I know there's lots of coaches out there that have freebies that have, 50 questions to ask a stranger. I've come across that in my journeys.
Yeah.
Or even just, just keep a little notebook in a journal or a piece of paper that writes down some questions, and just get to know those questions. Get to know those questions like they're a friend. So when you go to meet someone, or you are, at a party and you're standing there and it's awkward and silent, you can just reach into your pocket of memory that says, it gives you some little questions to pull from. So a really great one that is so simple, that is better than, some other ones I've heard out there, is just, what brought you here?
Yeah.
That's just an easy question. It's neutral. You're not asking anything weird or awkward, for the most part, let's hope, right? But I'm sure someone could go down a rabbit hole on that one on me. So,
Yeah.
But, what brought you here? If you're at a networking event, what brought you here? And that just opens up a door that's not a yes or no question. Because that's what you want. You want something that's not a yes or no question, and they could be like, oh, I was really helping to grow my business. And then you can say, oh, what do you do? So just kind of get into the practice and have some tools that you've memorized, some different questions, maybe 3, maybe 5, whatever you're comfortable with. So you're mentally prepared for situations. I think that is the best way to put it with anything, is taking some time to mentally prepare yourself will go a long way. And building that into your schedule will also make that a habit. I took time to prepare for this podcast with you and to mentally prepare. Any situation that you do, you should always have like a little bit of intention and mentally prepare. So I would say if you're gonna go and make this something you want to work on, that I would just practice that and have some different questions. So, and I can tell you like one funny story that I thought of when I was having my trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
If you have time. Okay.
Yeah.
So when I lived in New York City, which was in 1996, that's when I moved to New York City. So quite a long time ago. This was way before cell phones. So this is the premise of the story. And I was single. And I desperately wanted a boyfriend. Oh my gosh. And I'm this, I'm not a size 2, and I have big blonde hair, and I was moving from the Midwest, and I'm not Jewish. And so I don't really fit into the typical New York culture of the 90s.
Yeah.
And so I had a really hard time meeting guys. So I had this brainy idea to not wear a watch anymore. So I could, when I was sitting on the subway or the bus, I could ask, if I saw a cute guy, I could ask him what time it was.
I love it.
It did not work.
Oh.
It did not work because I never really saw anybody. It just didn't happen. And I probably blew it a couple of times and, didn't have the confidence. But that was my talking to strangers story.
I love it. I would have never thought to do that. That reminds me of something that might have happened in Sex in the City like ages ago.
I know, and this was before Sex in the City. So yeah, I should have given that to what was her name? Candace Bushnell. Is that what her name is?
Yeah, the lady who wrote it. Yeah.
So anyhow, I just thought I'd share because it came up in my memory. I was like, oh my God, I remember I did that for a time. I didn't wear a watch. So, luckily, I was never late to work. That's good.
I love it. I love that. That's a really great opener to just, excuse me, what's the time? But yeah, probably worked much more effectively then, because now they'll be like, don't you have a phone? Don't you have all of that stuff, if you kind of got that, if you try to do it now. But I love that one. Really, really good kind of way to start a conversation with a stranger. And I loved as well that you spoke about like being mentally prepared as well. For what it is you're doing, because that's like a lot of the kind of hard work goes into it. If you're kind of mentally prepared, so then you do get to the location, wherever it is you need to do, you're halfway already there. And I love that. Definitely, I've really learned something there. And I just wanted to ask as well, before we go, it's been so great hanging out with you and talking to you, Melinda, as well. And I just wanted to ask, like, so is there anything exciting that you're working on that you can share with our listeners, what you're going to be focusing over May and June time, that you can let us know, that we can follow you on and connect with you?
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for having me on your podcast. This has been so much fun. I actually have like the little tears in my eyes from laughing. So you're laughing. So I feel like a big emoji. So, and I'll share this too, because this popped into my brain. I think it was Oprah who said this. I don't know if she is the originator, so please don't, tell me, you can tell me I'm doing it wrong, but I think the saying goes, luck is preparation meeting opportunity. So think about that as you are, networking, connecting, talking to strangers, any of those things. Luck is preparation meeting opportunity. I think it is when preparation meets opportunity, it's luck, something like that. But it's amazing how things can work out. And I would say what I'm working on is just really hoping things open back up in the speaking world. And I also am a sales rep, and my husband has a charter boat business here in the Keys. So right now we're just prepping for that. We're like getting ready to get ready.
Nice.
Just doing everything we can. And I continue to build my network and connections. So that's just really important to me. So every day I'm continuing to work on that. I would love it if people reached out to me. The best website is goodkarmasuccesscoach.com. And on that website, I just put up a new freebie challenge that I wrote during this downtime. So,
Yeah.
and it's called Belief, Action, Happiness, Growth Challenge. So it's kind of a combination of all my tools and tips that I've put together into a challenge. And it also has some pages for reflection. So I would love it if people check that out. And you can always follow me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and then my 2 podcasts, as you mentioned in the beginning, are Crush It in Sales and also the Good Karma Success Coach. So
Great.
lots of places to find me. So,
Yeah, definitely. There's no excuses. No
yeah,
excuses,
no
definitely.
excuses, right?
Yeah. Thank you so
So
much for sharing that quote. I haven't heard it before, but I'll definitely Google it. I'm going to try and put it into the show notes too.
awesome.
Yeah, and just thanks for letting us know what you're working on, and that freebie exclusive of Believe, Action, Happiness, Growth Challenge, which I love that it's got a part of reflection. I love reflection. I learn the most. I feel like I progress the most in reflective times, definitely. And thanks so much for sharing. I'm going to put your contact details in the show notes so people can get hold of you if they didn't hear it or they were running on the gym when you said it, so they can go back to the show notes and find it. Thank you so, so much, Melinda. It's been such a learning curve. I hope everybody's enjoyed listening to you, learned so much, and I'm just really, really grateful for you to come down today and share your expertise. It's been so much fun. I've really, really laughed and learned at the same time. It's been amazing. Thank you so much, Melinda.
Thank you so much for having me. You are amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.